Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and it's been a hot minute since we have looked at recent sales for vintage loose items. Okay, I've got some vehicles and play sets. We've got some loose complete figures, some last 17, things like that. And I apologize, I haven't made one of these in a while, but I'll try to do that more often because I have heard from a number of you that you'd like to see more information on sales prices, especially for the play sets and vehicles. So I'll try to get to one of those here very soon. And in the meantime, hopefully this will hold you over. And thank you to those of you that watch the channel. Really appreciate it if you leave me a like, as it does help out with the channel. Let's take a closer look. Let's start off with some figures. We'll start off with this one. This one I thought was very nice. $300 for a 12-inch complete Boba Fett that was in pretty darn good condition. I always like this one. Colors on this are just really nice. And this seller's got had a number of really nice play sets and vehicles that were for sale. This one had some light scratches and things like that, but overall, very nice condition, perfectly acceptable for your display shelf. Now, I'm curious on this one. This is really interesting. I don't know if it's legit or not. I tend to think that it is because I looked up the cape style for the Toll Toys Australian vinyl cape Jawa, and this one does match it. And to me, I feel like this is probably 100% legit. It's 100% complete, apparently. Toll Toys variant for the vinyl cape Jawa. And first of all, the figure itself is definitely the Toll Toys. It's pretty well known to have this discoloration to the arms and the legs, and sometimes even the whole figure, where it turns like this weird kind of mud brown. That's the only way I can describe it. It gets very mottled. Just something about that plastic causes it to do that over time. So it's tough to find these in very high grade condition. Most of them are 70s, 75s when they're graded by AFA at best. This is the cape. It had some tears and things like that. And it's a very specific factory cape for it. It looks like the right one just based on the limited research I did online. In these photos, it looks so bright and so red that it didn't, you think, wow, that can't be right. But you got to remember that the figure has degraded so much over time that, it doesn't match very well. So I'm assuming it's legit. I don't know why you would fake it with a torn one like this anyway. If you're going to fake it, go big time with your fake, get one that's in cleaner condition than this. So I think that this one is legit and did sell for $1,500. AFA 70s and 75s, they tend to go, they're all over the map, but 2,500-ish would be my guess. It's when you start getting into the AFA 80s that you get into the big numbers, like $3,500 and $4,500. They just very rarely pop up in high grade, loose graded from AFA. So if you see one, just expect to pay quite a bit of money. Mint on card, obviously, there's not many of those left. They're on ESB card backs. There's less than a handful known to still exist, if not even a handful. Hardly any of them are on mint on card. I know that Hakes had one recently in a auction last year. Anyway, that one did sell $1,500, and here was a Hollow Cheeks Tusken Raider. This one just had very light rubs to the eyes and the horns there. That one sold for $320, which is about right for, one in about 75 grade condition. AFA 80s and 85s tend to go, I'd say $600 to $900 in that ballpark, typically. Here is the seller, Anderson Enterprises. This is a seller I've bought from in the past and always has really nice, loose complete figures and mint on cards, things like that. This one was a Red Bar R5, and it sold for $570, which is probably the lowest price I've seen for a Red Bar R5 in a while. It's probably in about a 70 or 75 grade condition at best. Very tough to get these in higher grade, mainly because of the sticker yellowing, things like that. So this one, it had some issues, and I think it's probably a 75, maybe a 70 plus, somewhere in there. But very nice. Always nice to get a Red Bar R5 D4. $570 on that one. He also had this dark brown-haired Luke Farm Boy Hong Kong. You can tell it's the dark brown hair because it's very noticeable how dark that hair is, and this is one of them. Beautiful example. I've got an AFA uncirculated 85 for this particular figure that I'm probably going to list on Rogue 5 fairly soon for sale. at probably at a price that less than what I paid for it, to be honest with you. I think it's more like an 80 or 80 plus, but it did get the U85 grade. There's that a nice close-up of how dark that hair is. It's a very noticeable, discernible difference between the light brown hair. And you can see there on the back of the leg, it's a 2-line Hong Kong GFGI. Is that right? Yeah, GFGI. GMFGI. General Mills Fun Group, Inc. So GMFGI. Whew, man, my brain is not working this afternoon. But $228.50, I think for a 75 grade, which is probably what this is with the limb color discoloration. Limb discoloration, not color discoloration. I need some coffee, apparently. But $228.50 is a great price. That's a really good deal on that one. Next up, here is, so this is a good comparison. I forgot that I did this. So this is a light brown hair Hong Kong. So you can see how much lighter the hair is on that one versus that one. It's a very noticeable color difference for the light brown haired Hong Kong. That one sold for $333.84, but it was in better condition too. It didn't have the limb discoloration that the other one does. This is probably an 85. I mean, maybe an 80 plus. It looks like maybe one of the hands, his left hand, has got some color rub on that. And, you know, some light, very light color rub on the arm there. So it's probably an 80 would be my guess on that one. Yeah, definitely an 80. It's got some paint wear on the back as well. So, but still, that's a very nice figure for $333.84. And then here was a very peach face Luke Farm Boy. This was a double telescoping saber example. I don't know if that's the full filament. It looks like it might be a little short or it's just bent. But, the figure obviously has quite a bit of rub to it. And it looks like this one is a Hong Kong 2-line. It's the correct 2-line. It's got the 1977 with the Hong Kong underneath it. So it is a correct figure that would pair with this particular. There are some 3-line Hong Kongs that do pair with the double telescoping saber as well. But this one's in pretty rough shape. So $520 is not terrible. I've got one of these for sale, by the way. I have an AFA 80 double telescoping saber Luke Farm Boy. As of right now, as of the making of this video, it's still available. And it's an unmarked engineering pilot, according to the certificate of authenticity from Tom Derby over at AFA. So it's in the featured items over at Rogue 5 Toys if you want to go take a look at it. I got it listed for $2,000, which is about what I paid for it. It's a very nice example, but it was found with it was found with marked engineering pilots that had the same characteristics as this figure. And the double telescoping saber was added later. And I've got nice close-ups of it and all that good stuff. But, it's basically an unmarked EP, according to the COA from AFA. So that's up for sale on Rogue 5 Toys in the featured items, at least as of the making of this video. And in case you want to make a bid. But if this one sells for $520, I know that mine is worth the price I'm asking for it. It's an AFA 80. It's very clean, and it's also an unmarked EP from Tom Derby over there at AFA. So I feel pretty comfortable with the list price. Next up is a Blue Snags. Obviously, it's got some torso discoloration. That one's sold for $280. Wrong weapon, also, by the way. This seller, I don't think he's really a Star Wars expert. He just gets in big collections and then sells them off individually. But that's the wrong weapon, clearly, for Blue Snags. But not a bad example. Probably about a 75 grade Blue Snags. You can pick up the weapon pretty easily for him. On to some last 17. We had an Imperial Gunner. This one had some color rub to the belt buckle, which is very common. Looks like the emblems were in decent shape, but not great. You can see there, it's got some color rub there. This is probably about an 75 plus, maybe a low 80 grade. $290 on that one. A Monomon, that one sold for $229.38 in an auction. Hard to tell. I can never grade an Monomon. It's always tough to tell the grade on that. Just given how wonky and how many little wrinkles and things there are on the figure. It's easy to hide defects, to me, on a Monomon. It looks clean to me. I mean, I don't know, but it's just really hard to gauge. Usually it's the hands that have weird rub on it. You can see there maybe some slight rubs there on the hands. So, probably about an 80 grade. I'm just guessing, but 229.38 is a pretty good deal. EV99, this one sold for 365. Looks like it's got some color rub on the yellow eye socket there, and God only knows where else. That's another tough one. I just don't know last 17 in general. I don't know very well because I don't have many of them, and it's just very tough to gauge the grades on those. I'm just not as familiar, but that one did sell for 365. Seems like a fair deal. Some yak faces did sell as well. This one sold for 510. This one looked pretty clean. No discoloration to the chest, which is the first thing I look for. The other thing I look for is on the feet for paint rubs. It looks like it's got maybe a couple of paint rubs. So this is probably about an 80 grade example for yak face for 510. This one sold for 590. And, at first blush, this one looks a little bit cleaner to me. It's got one little scuff there on the arm by the sleeve, but probably an 80 plus grade, maybe an 85 if you're lucky. But 590 on that one. Here is the R2-D2 pop-up lightsaber. That one sold for 530, which I thought was a good deal. This is probably about an 80 grade. I feel like AFA has loosened up their standards on pop-up lightsaber R2s to where you can still get the 80 grade if it's got a little bit of sticker discoloration, as this one appears to have. But a nice example overall for 530. Size From, this one had some rubs to the face there, it looked like, around the lips and things like that. Just the pictures are not great. Yeah, you can see some rubs on the forehead as well. He's got the same haircut I do. Same haircut I do. But Size From, 675 on that one. That's, it's not perfect, but, that's probably about the going rate, really, for a loose, complete Size From these days. On to some vehicles and playsets and other kind of oddities. Here is another ESB electronic laser rifle. That one sold for $760. I feel like that's the second one we've seen sell here recently. But a very cool item. Great box art on that one. $760. Here was a Millennium Falcon with an ESB box. That one was advertised as complete with the Jedi training ball. That one sold over in the UK for £280, which is 362 US dollars. Not a terrible deal. This was a beautiful Death Star space station. This box was so nice. Look at this box. That is a really clean example. I don't know if that foam is correct or not. I did not look it up. They've got the foam in a little Ziploc bag there, but the rest of it looked really nice. I'm assuming that the foam is legit. I don't know for a fact, though. I always get the foam, on these. It looks like it to me, just based on one I showed in another video maybe a month or two ago. And it was kind of the same thing. It was like blue, yellow, and gray foam. But it's got the Dianoga Trash Monster, all the parts. That is a clean box, though. That is really nice. So that one sold for $495 in an auction. That's a really good display piece. That included an acrylic case as well. So that's a perfect deal to me. $495 plus $65 shipping on that. Here was yet another beautiful Sandcrawler that sold. I thought $1,000 for this was a great deal. It had the insert, it had all the paperwork, and the box was super clean. I would actually argue that this was low. This seemed really low to me. To me, usually when you get the box in decent condition with the insert, 100% complete with the Sandcrawler working condition as advertised, to me, that's $1,500, $1,500 all day long. So somebody got a great deal at $1,000 for that one. Here is the Star Destroyer action playset that was super clean. That was 100% complete and very, very clean. That was nice. That one sold for $300 plus $30 shipping. We had an indoor forest ranger that included the insert, all the catalogs and so forth. And, it looks like it was used condition. There wasn't, let's see if there's any photos of the stickers. Yeah, stickers were applied. So it wasn't perfect. The stickers were starting to peel off a little bit. For $122.50, that's not a bad deal, though, to include in a sliding acrylic case. If you're not really into, graded, sealed items and all that kind of crap, then the Tri-Logo seal, Tri-Logo, with a acrylic case to seal it in there. That's a nice display piece for $122. That's a price I'd pay all day long. And then finally was an Imperial Shuttle, pretty beautiful condition. The instruction sheet was kind of yellowed, but the box itself was gorgeous. Really clean box on that. And that one sold for $650, which is not a bad price, really. I think that's a very fair price for what that is. Usually the shuttle by itself, in clean condition is like $350-ish, maybe $450-ish. But with the box too, and you know that was $650 with $40 shipping for everything. I thought that was a really good deal. You know, AFA graded examples are $2,500 plus all day long, so I thought that was a really good deal. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at vintage loose complete figures as well as playsets and vehicles. Again, please be sure to leave me a like if you enjoyed the video. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.